Good afternoon, it's Monday and welcome to Market View. Today we have the Eswatini Public Procurement Agency shedding some light on the market price reference catalogue, which has proven to be a thorn amongst some businesses. We also have the Eswatini Revenue Service explaining the presumptive tax slated for start in July this year. The Bankers Association will react to the monthly statistical release by the central bank, especially on credit extended to the private sector. Lastly, our economist, Mr. Sanele Sibia, will share the financials. Let's look at business news. The increase in credit extended to the private sector in January when compared to the previous year is a positive for the economy. This has been said by the Chief Executive Officer of the Eswatini Bankers Association, Zakhele Lukele, when reacting to the central bank's monthly statistical release, which was shared on Friday.
The central bank normally releases these figures on a monthly basis, but they are compiled also on a long-term basis. I think what we can read into the figures can be interpreted in several ways because things can happen, especially on the short term when we're talking about month to month. But maybe the longer term gives us more perspective of what has been happening. Normally, credit extended to businesses is usually signifying that businesses are borrowing more. It could be due to different factors. One of the factors could be because there are more businesses in the economy that are now borrowing from. It could be that there's more economic activity because there are more businesses being established, and so therefore there are more businesses seeking credit facilities from the banks. That's one approach. But it could also mean that the existing businesses in the economy are increasing production. It could be they've received more orders from their customers, or essentially maybe exporting more. So it could be a positive factor on the account. As we see, the figure declined on a month-to-month basis, so it could mean that in the last month there was a higher demand for credit than the previous month. That maybe is short term, but we could look more at the longer term because on a year-on-year basis there was an increase of more than 7%, as we have said. That could mean that the economic activity between last year and this year could have increased because the private sector is borrowing more. When comparing last year's figure with which on a year-to-year basis, which shows an increase of over 7%, it would mean if you take it on a face value that there is an increase in economic activity. There's more lending to the private sector to produce more goods, either by new companies or the current companies, the existing companies increasing production. So it's a positive thing in terms of looking at economic activity, other than the influence that might be there from inflationary pressures we normally see these figures increase on a year-to-year basis, not only because of production, but also because of inflation.
The Eswatini Revenue Service says the introduction of the presumptive tax on the 1st of July this year will make it easier for informal businesses to submit tax. The Director of Communications, Vusi Dlamini, said this when explaining how they are planning to ensure they reach the 13.5 billion emalangeni in revenue collection target this financial year.
ERS is expected to collect 13.5 billion emalangeni. I think the emphasis that we need to make is that it is expected that all businesses are supposed to be paying taxes. Now you're talking about the informal sector as well, which we are well aware that there are businesses that are operating, but you find that in terms of keeping records, they are a little bit informal. Some people will tell you that they are running business, but it's not really a formal business. So if you take them and include them in those businesses that are running businesses formally, you find that they're having certain challenges. The minister did announce also that, in fact, there is a formal gazette to announce that there is some modification in terms of the country's legislation to try and deal or assist those businesses that are operating in that manner to be able to pay their taxes. I think there is an introduction of what is called the presumptive tax, which we expect should start in July, and that is going to help us to actually bring in those businesses that we are referring to into the tax net. So in a nutshell, basically those type of businesses are expected to pay taxes differently, maybe in also a different rate compared to the businesses that are operating formally. If I were to make an example, there is going to be taxation on what we call the gross, basically on the sales that they would have made necessarily than expecting them to be submitting returns and giving us a lot of or making it complicated for them. This is going to make it much easier for them. So this is how we then expect that they should come into the tax net.
Mbukeli sitawuya etimakethe nasibuya sawuteka yona indzaba ye-Eswatini Public Procurement Agency lapho khona ikhiphe i-price catalog lengathi bakhalisa kakhulu bosomabhizinisi. Sitawuba naye Sanele Sibiya long economist lotasibukisa ukuthi engabe isho kuthini i-procurement agency itawuchaza yona ukuthi ifike njani kulesi nqumo. Uhlale nathi Mbukeli ungayindzawo.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007 *3 *7 hash. Or you can use Eswatini Imali. And you can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any Nedbank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
Welcome back, viewer. The Eswatini Public Procurement Agency says the market price reference catalogue was done taking into account that prices have to change over time. This was said by the manager capacity building Tuliles Funza in reaction to the Eswatini Federation of Business Community in the Hoho region raising a concern that they were not consulted on this catalogue.
To bring a balance when looking at the prices, the data collection also extended to retailers that are also within those retailers and wholesalers that are within those regions. So it is true that this is a study that was conducted in 2022. What we did to ensure that by the time this catalogue is launched, also the prices are relevant to the time at which the catalogue is launched, we effected a certain percentage now, so that, because as we said that they were collected in 2022, now we are in 2024, so we are still in the beginning of 2024. So there was a percentage that was actually effected now, so that the prices are relevant for this year. So what is it that we used? It was, the percentage was determined, or we used the consumer price index. So these are statistics that are actually issued by the central bank as well as the Ministry of Economic Planning. So from the consumer price index now, we then calculated inflation from that, and then the calculation indicated that at that point, that is 2023, inflation was at 4.76%. Yes, it was at 4.76%. So now, in ensuring that now the prices are relevant, or they are within the time, we are still not issuing a catalog that still has prices for 2 years ago, but they are relevant to the timing at which the catalog is launched. So now, this percentage was affected to the price, which then brought an increase to the prices. That is, we can check the catalog that was issued in 22 or the prices that we collect in 2022. There is now a variance when you actually look at the prices that will be used now when the catalog is actually issued.
ESPPRA Mbukeli iteka yona indzaba ye price catalog lese ibosomabhizinisi kakhulu labo labancane bathi kwangathi abakakhulumiseki kanti futhi beva ngathi kutaba netinkinga abasasebenta. Sesinaye economist wethu Sanele Sibiya. Mr. Sibiya, ngikwemukele ehlelweni, ngifisa nje kuva kwekuthi, do you think this was a good move by government, considering ukuthi in the past tenders lebekaniketwa bokhanza ukuthi the prices have been inflated? We have example yetinkomo where PAC had to go to South Africa trying to find out ukuthi engabe tinkomo tikhuliselweni kangaka.
Asibonge Mdunga andisibusele kuyumlaleli. Lokho lesikubonako kulinfo lebevele ifuneka kuthi yendeke emnothweni kuze sitawuzama kubamba tinfo dabo corruption. Kodwa ke besingasho ukuthi kufuna kube yinfo lethina yendeka ingabuki ihlangothi lunye, so kufuna na hulumende athi nasi kufakwa le price catalog ngalana besibhekile sibo somnotho ukuthi uhulumende utawuveta ukuthi yena utawenda njani noma labathengako ukuthi ubhadaleke within isikhathi lesingeke simlimate yena umthengisi ukhanze ukuthi by the time ubhadalwa tinfo setenyuke kakhulu vele umsokothi inzuzo la yakha wena lothengako ekhaya.
Mr. Sibiya, I must indicate that Tulile from ESPPRA has said Guti, this catalogue will also compel government to ensure ukuthi ubabhadala ngesikhathi labo labamthengiselako. Ngifisa kuva ukuthi engabe ucabanga kwekuthi bathi le catalogue batayi reviewer after 2 years. Will this work for bosoma business? Because bakhala ngekwekuthi njengoba hulumende athuna le catalogue ukhanza kwekuthi kuyakhula bo petrol kuyakhula lokwa nalokwa ngenza balo soyitekile ukuthi hulumende ukhanza ukuthi uyaphuta kubabhadala. Will this work now ubuka wena Mr. Sibiya as an economist?
No, lo 2 years mudze kakhulu Mdunga ngalokuthi imarket ehlele tigijima atimi atilali futhi hlele tihamba petrol hlele nyuka ama-cost hlale ayedulu kubo baba laba supplier kuphinzwe ngakhanza singalenye langa sekaye phasi. So umcoka lokho ngathi uhulumende nakangayibuka indlela yokuthi angayireviewa njani le catalog ngespeed lesitawuhambisana lesemarket mhlawumbe kodali noma by annual ukuthi kuyadiwa ukuthi every 2 months kuyabuketwa tindzaba kuphekwe nabo inflation ngokuthi onyalo sesila month on month inflation uma singathi ke nyalo adjust kancane le price catalog ukuze bangatawulimala kakhulu bona ema suppliers la supplier hulumende nawo ema parastatals.
This is a question, Mr. Sibiya, that I've asked the business community, the Federation of Business Community Gahoho kwekuthi there is this catalog. You are coming to us, you are saying there is a problem, but have you really gone to government to attend to these things? Ungathini ngekuthi nabo babe proactive? What would be your advice in terms of them being proactive ukuthi batisukumele tindzaba letitsinza bona tingaze base bachamuka amasekunjeni?
Lokhu ukhanza ukuthi i-bargaining yenteka indlela encumbi ngakhanza ukuthi bebathi le nkinga nabayibona kwanze seke-inflateka lama-prices ukuze batawudila nale issue. So nyalo ngoba sekunale catalog lesingakukhuthata ukuthi bosomabhizinisi through their tinhlangano tabo ku-Federation of Chamber of Eswatini Business nebosomabhizinisi bemtsabo ukuthi abam-engage uhulumende kube nale vigorous stakeholder engagement kule issue ukuthi before le catalog ingene lama-underlying issues abe sekadiliwe nawo wonke umvusekati ukuthi nyalo sitawungena sisebenta kaso siyachubeka sihamba siya embili. So i-success yale catalog depends on rigorous stakeholder engagements.
Kuyevakala Mr. Sibiya kanti-ke mbukeli siphinze sakhulumisana nayo i-ESP i-PRA ngendzaba yekwekuthi ukhanza ukuthi ama-prices ashintsha kakhulu kubo-IT kwekuthi basibukise nje lama-categories uphinze wachaza Thulile.
Categories from which the prices were collected. What was then developed now is the catalog. The catalog provides a range of the prices that procuring entities will need to refer to before making the decision to award. So now this range provides the minimum and a maximum price. That is to say then once the entity has actually conducted the evaluation process, they have actually identified the highly ranked tenderer, they will then refer now, look at the catalog to check if the financial proposal for that highly ranked tenderer is now within the range that is provided. So that is also guide them into making that decision. So we will be also issuing guidelines that will also provide guidance to both procuring entities as well as the suppliers so that they have an understanding on how this price catalog will be effected. We also do understand that there are also commodities that entities procure on a frequent basis that I would say highly volatile. So the guideline will also provide guidance to say in the event now there are those prices. I'll make an example with IT. IT is always changing. There's always new innovations in the market that is coming in, and yet IT is also one of the categories that in which where prices were collected for. Now the catalog will provide the allowance to say now with those commodities where there's I would say there's a lot of those frequent changes in the market, they will be allowed to actually now consider those prevailing prices in the market, but the procuring entity will need to justify. So it should be informed. It shouldn't be a decision just to say the entity will decide to say for this commodity we want to use a market price, but it should be informed. It should be informed by information that is actually prevailing in the market, which will then be a justification to say as an entity we now have to consider a price that is not within the ranges that has been provided by the catalog.
Thulile ESPPRA uchaza yona indzaba kwekuthi njengoba sekwendiwe yona i-price catalog akusho ke kwekuthi nangabe kunetintfo mhlawumbe letimcoka like kubo IT ngeke uhulumende aze avumele tinkampani ukuthi tithenge nanoma kuyi-price leseyingekho ku-catalog, but they will have to justify. Mr. Sibiya, I just want you ukuthi usichazele kwekuthi engabe kumcoka kangakanani kwekuthi uhulumende asende le catalog abe flexible kwekuthi mangabe kukhona things that need to be procured tivumeleke ngaleso sikhathi.
Nokumcoka kakhulu lokho njengoba intro yakhanza athi nyalo i-technology seyishintshile, indlela kwenta tintfo seyishintshile noma sekunendlela lelula yokuthi kwendiwe le tintfo leseyivumbuka. So lokho lesingakukhuthata lesekuyaye sikubukete ukuthi ayithi uyilista le catalog yakho ube nato letindlela tekuthi should kube nendvo lengekho la ibe khona la kulama guidelines ukuthi makungekho la kule ndvo uyifuna kule list yethu le kutawufuna uhambe wente naku usijustify lokho kwenta lokho. Siyayisikuthatha ke sibo somnotho ukuthi atingabi tinze kakhulu letindlela ekufuna tihanjwe ngalokuthi ukhanza ukuthi ukhanza ibhizinisi seyalahlekelwa sekunemlo sokusheka kwemarket. So lesikuthatha ukuthi akube part of the catalog lokuthi indvona seyingasekho itawutfolakala kanjani nakwindvo lensha, what is there that needs to be justified ukuze kutawadi naye nalo procuring officer ukuthi ufuna ende njani.
Kuyevakala Mr. Sibiya, one last question we have seen ukuthi kulesinye isikhathi bosomabhizinisi bebathi we inflate the prices because hulumende bese uyaphuta kuzibhadala like you have said. Ungathini kuhulumende, uthini kuwe emabhizinisi kusasetshenziswa le catalog lena?
Sibo somnotho besibheke kokuthi le catalog ifuna iphume naso sethembiso kuhulumende lesithi ngawubhadala emva kwesikhathi lesingaka. Usually sithi akube ngilo 90 days. So besibheke kuhulumende without ayikhipha le catalog sesikhona leso sethembiso ngoba siyathi ukuthi kwanyalo nje bosomabhizinisi hulumende usene kuba kweleta 700 million. Lo sibheke ukuthi mhlambe nangabe sikhona kulista eJohannesburg Stock Exchange tasobuya ababhadala hulumende. So kufuneka sibe nako lokuthi besibhekile nje sibosomnotho ukuthi idawuthi iphume seyinaso nalesi thembiso kube i-reform letaba sector wide ingabi just ngalana on the procuring side ayibe khona ngalana on the payment side ukuthi mase nginikile lama commodities zami ngale price catalog yakho ngicela ungibhadale ngesikhathi lesingaka ngoba imali bosomabhizinisi basebenzela amayigicika mayengasagicikila awuyaloza somabhizinisi kanjalo so masinciphise velocity yayo bese kuba nenkinga khona lapho.
Siyabonga Mr. Sibiya, siyathemba ukuthi uhulumende asasebenzisana nabo bosomabhizinisi kuyo i-price catalog lapho khona kutawubukwati imali kufanele uhulumende athenge ngato ukuthi awuhamba kahle impela sitawuhamba mbukela inyalo siyeta imakethe sitawuphindze sibuye nawe ema-financials.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Mbukela siphinze sikwemukele sinaye Mr. Sibiya nyalo sitawubuka wona umbiko wetimali. Sitawucala Mr. Sibiya lapha ku stock exchange lapho khona sibona ukuthi timakethe tase US it closed down lower on Friday. Ngabe what has led to this?
I-economic calendar beyi-calendar lebhizi ukhanza ukuthi kuphuma tona tinombolo tabo ma-interest rates nani nani kodwa-ke sibonile ukuthi imakethe uma tiphuma leto tinombolo tiphume taba tinombolo letithi ukuthi lushintsho lolunganani and twangabi nalelo shintsho lalo ukuthi so timakethe tibeseke sitibonile tenyukanyuka but bese setivala phansi than a previous close but this is a better stand in the markets but nje te-responda to letindzaba leti temisebenzi natindzaba tabo interest rate leti chamgile khona e-US phindze-ke beti-responda nakuyo nangu-Super Tuesday simbonile last week lapho kukhombasakele khona ukuthi Donald Trump sobuyele vele sengena atawugijimela likhetho lwakhona e-US bana President Biden so timakethe nako siyadada ukuthi indzaba ya Trump akusuye indzaba leti nambitsa kahle.
Asibuye Mr. Sibiya sibuye kuto timakethe tase Europe siyabona kungathi ti trader in red engabe kwendekani.
No nakhona sibonile kuleli viki leliphelile tiphumile tinombolo te-interest rate ikakhulu khona laphayana e-Europe nakhona i-European Central Bank ibambile i-interest rate yakhona yangayehlisi solo ihlete ku-4% ngalokuthi inflation solo ayijensi tinombolo tekwehla tinombolo letehla ngalokujabulisile so timakethe tisazama lokufaka lokho emcondvweni sasekubukile lokho sesibonana nako ukuthi kunalama strikes awona ema-farmers e-Europe la solo angafuni kuphela lenawo anekukhoza tinkinga yencumbi e-Europe ngalokuthi i-Euro mhlaba wonke nawubuka ukuthi ingabe i-European Union setawukhona kuyibamba le-agreement yayo ngoba siyabona ama-farmers incumbi a-protesta kokuthi ema-cheaper commodities lathamka ngaphandle kafuna sele kuba nendlela yekuvalwa so ngato nje vele sibuke kakhulu ethamba khona e-Europe.
Nasibuka Asia, Japan, Japan, the stock market Asia, is giving us mixed signals. Ngabe lapho ngasinika yini direction, Mr. Spear, ukuthi kuhamba kanjani?
Uma sibuka eJapan phinde sibuka neChina siyabona ukuthi iJapan namhla ivale timakethe betiphansi compared to iChina yona levale timakethe tikhombisa kuhlahlakahlahlamba. So lokho singakubuka ukuthi ungakhumbula ukuthi iJapan beyisolo i-technical recession for the past 2 quarters. So nyalo tinombolo tiphumelele tithi iJapan igejenje kancane le technical recession lokusho ukuthi tinombolo tisengajabulisi kakhulu ngokungathi sibona iJapan iperforma ngalendlela eperforma ngayo. Uma sisuka sibuyela eChina sibonile laphana ukuthi uma kuphunywa khona i-Communist Party uma kwi-Congress yayo sibone uhulumende wakhona akhutsate emabhange ukuthi akayisupport kakhulu i-property sector lekhona khona eChina ngoba ngilapho sibona khona a lot of volatility coming through. Now buka iChina ngalokuthi kunanathi indzaba tabo Evergrande nale property bubble lengahle ibhome. So nangabe kenyalo iyaphuma uhulumende waseChina akusho kuba clear ukuthi no mabhange supporta nathi sidawu support la kufuneka support khona. So timakethe ke tikuthatha njengento lendlela esho ukuthi sidawuphuta ke kubona le singayi avoid le crisis lebesilo siyibuka solo sitanayo for the past 2 years solo sithi ngabe yawugcina solve yina indzaba yana i-property bubble in China.
Nasibuya Mr. Spear kuma-commodities siyabona ukuthi kuma-commodities ligolide solo liyakhula ngathi lilapha ngetulu kwabo 2000 or so kanti na oil naye solo siyambona ukuthi akehli kahle engabe nalapho ungasi walk us through what is going on there.
No, timakethe njengoba sitibonile ukuthi incumbi yado iyangekubabovu. So imakethe iyakuthatha lokho ikufake emcondweni, ama-traders akufake emcondweni lokho ukuthi ngoba nyalo lesikhathi lesibheke ngayo le interest rate ukuthi tawubuya phansi sesichubekela embili. So why singayiyofuna ema-currency info letaba safe. So lapho kanza ukuthi kuyakuthatha kufakwe ngalapha kuma-currencies bese senasisuka lapho siyabona kuthathwa kufaka kusuka ngalo kuma-commodities kuya kuma-equities bese sekuya so that is what is happening right now in the markets ncisini babukele emakhaya. Kodwa nje ligolide li-safe haven. So nyalo with the uncertainty in the market and nasibukela le price ya oil ukuthi nayo iyenyuka lokho kusho ukuthi inflation if it is sustained le upward surge in the price of oil kusho ukuthi inflation nayo isetawuhlala idudlwana. So timakethe zetiyazama kushifta from equities tibuye ngalana kuma-safer commodities which is gold in this case.
Let's look at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, Mr. Spear. What do we have there?
Nayo i-Johannesburg Stock Exchange siyibonile i-closer down ngenamuhla. Trader down namuhla, but the volumes are higher than they were yesterday. So lokho siyakubuka ukuthi sibonile ukuthi nje khona nawubuka eSouth Africa, the institutions of democracy have been very much put under question ngoba nyalo kuvele kwaphuma i-list nje yasaseyalika from the elections commission, independent elections commission in South Africa. So lokho kwenda imarket besayisathembe ukuthi can we really have trust in the institutions of this country? So that is why we are seeing that downward surge. That's probably why we are seeing the downward surge.
Interesting, Mr. Spear. Asalo sibuya ekhaya Eswatini sibuka yona i-Eswatini Stock Exchange ukuthi engabe khona kuhamba kanjani, Mr. Spear?
No, Eswatini Stock Exchange now siyayibona solo iyarally isha laphana ku-472 ema-volumes lakatradekile, but i-change ayikabi ngileni kanganani, but we are seeing Inala Capital trying to change their strategy in business. Now ngabuke emaphepha nje bayakhuluma kakhulu ukuthi they are trying to acquire more assets into their portfolio. Lokusho ukuthi we are most likely to see an increase in surge kulawo ma-shares Inala Capital babantu bawathenga kakhulu njengoba nanyalo la ngabuka nje ama-trades ayangekwenyuka on that one, and still we are seeing Konyeni Precast still trying to improve their market capitalization, trying to sell shares now. So we are seeing that growth coming through that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Spear. Siyabonga kakhulu kanti ke mbukeli salishaya silibeke lapho lihlelo elangeni lalamuhla lukhona nakusasa. Usale kahle.